I was down quite a bit. And everything was fitting nicely, and then summer hit. And oddly enough, I eat less healthy over the summer than I do when I'm actually working. So I got to get that fixed too.
Jason, I may ask you for that law to read that law again while since you have it pulled up,
Hang
Okay.
on, hang on.
and I won't ask you to interpret it. Or anything.
Why are we not showing up? There's that. There's that. Okay, so the audio's live at least. I'll figure out what's going on with the video for some reason. It's being janky, but
That's because I
we
hadn't shown my pretty face yet.
but we are coming in with sound. Yeah, Bob Naylor says the
Okay.
best we ever looked. Yeah, appreciate that.
Hello, friends and brothers. While Justin Jones is trying to figure out how to make us look pretty, then I will kick off this show. Thank you for joining us tonight.
There we go.
We have our inner circle with us live, and some of them online, listening and watching the scrolls to help us with some of the questions or what have you. But tonight is a pretty important night. We have an important topic to talk about, and we've talked about our elections with our regular lodges here lately.
Mhm.
And here, just so you can see my pretty face.
Oh my God! Take it off.
Woo-hoo! Woo-hoo! Looky here, advertising for exactly what I want to advertise for. So, anyways, I we've been talking about elections in the lodge level, on the lodge level, and now we need to discuss a little bit about the Grand Lodge level because, of course, um, the brothers over at the Grand Secretary's office have done a great job in talking with all the different hotels, and they've got some blocks of rooms. I can't believe that they got the Hilton for 169 a night. I mean, that's just freaking amazing. The Hilton is a great hotel, a great venue to go to. There's going to be some oh, what are those rooms called? Dang it! Somebody help me.
What are you talking about?
Where
Penthouses?
everybody gets together and hang out.
Hospitality rooms.
Hospitality rooms. I know that Carlton Newberry is going to have another hospitality room there this year. So that's the place to be. If you want to go to the hospitality room and hang out all evening and then stumble up to your room or whatever, then that's the place to stay. And I got to say, I'm grateful for them getting that together because usually we don't have that done until like right before Grand Lodge. And then, it's kind of too late because you've already made all your reservations. But I already know guys that are getting their Airbnbs done. Some lodges, as soon as Grand Lodge is over, they automatically procure the same Airbnb for the next year. There's several lodges that do that because their entire lodge goes to the Grand Annual Communication. So, Justin, why would you think brothers need to come with you know with respect to um, just in general?
I'll just be completely transparent. We had a really um, very interesting Grand Lodge session in January. We showed up in force and we spoke our hearts, we spoke our opinions, and we made it known how we felt about things. And that's fantastic. That it was really very beautiful to see us all come together like this. However, there are certain actors that are waiting on us to rest on our laurels, and then they will push back with the same nonsense that they had been pushing to begin with. And so it is essential that we show up in just as much force, with just as much resolve, if not more, than we had this year when we go to Grand Lodge next year.
Yeah, it is important that the Grand West has its has its say. When I really it's sad to think about the manipulation of events but it has happened in the past. Heck, back in before the Grand Lodge law came out about electioneering and stuff, there were people paying brothers to vote for at Grand Lodge, and I'm sure that ours wasn't the exception or whatever. I'm sure that was going on in a lot of places. Otherwise, they wouldn't have thrown up this big stink about electioneering and stuff like that. Uh, Hey, Jason, earlier I asked you if you would look up the Grand Lodge law on electioneering. Could you give that to me?
Yeah, yeah. Give me another 30 seconds here.
Sure. While
Okay,
he's pulling that up, I want to clarify on Dennis's behalf when he was talking about the money and everything. This was a long, long time ago.
Long time ago,
Like
yes.
your
Yes, not
grandparents' time, not within the last 5 years or anything like that. So just to be clear, before
Grandparents
anyone,
and great grandparents.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
wasn't. Yeah, this wasn't anything that's happened, recently.
yeah,
But
Okay, I've got it.
okay,
Okay.
what's the? Go ahead.
It's Article 508 under Chapter 2, Title 5, Masonic Disciplinary Violations. And Article 508 is certain other Masonic disciplinary violations. And there's 38 listed. Number 29 specifically says, it is a Masonic offense to directly or indirectly solicit or procure the vote of a Mason or campaign for the election of a Mason or to otherwise electioneer for any Mason in any location where Masons assemble, including, without limitation, in a lodge room, the Grand Lodge building, or any other such location or facility.
Hmm. Yeah, that's kind of crazy because, even this weekend there was an instance to where some brothers showed up on behalf of one of the brothers that made himself available for one of the offices recently, and they were essentially bad mouthing the current person in office, and at the same time, like throwing softballs at them with answers, like almost as if it was pre-orchestrated on how those answers were going to be. This was from and I learned this from a few different sources that called me and told me about it, and they said that there was a specific 4 people that showed up at the MWSA meeting in San Antonio, and basically one asked, are you making yourself available? And this person went off into a spiel, and then the next person said, well, something like to the effect of, well, didn't you put Grandview in place? And he said, yeah, that was my baby, whatnot. And then the next person said, well, I've been real upset with the service there, this year, and are you going to be able to fix that? And it's like, yeah, I can fix that, whatever. So that's the gist of something that happened this weekend. And it's like, well, that's not really electioneering. You're not saying, vote for this person. You're just stating some of the beliefs, I guess, of some of the members. How do you feel about that, Justin?
No, I think it's electioneering. I think if, like, you and I and some other people got together and had a discussion about who we feel is best qualified for some Masonic organization, that's not electioneering. That's planning. That's making intelligent decisions. However, if I wanted to be worshipful master of a lodge, and I brought 3 or 4 of my friends to a meeting, and we had this orchestrated and rehearsed conversation where we stood up in the middle of a meeting, and someone said, hey, weren't you a worshipful master one time? Didn't you do this and this for the lodge? Well, yes, I did. I did do this and this for the lodge. And we just had this this pre-planned back and forth to really pump me up and make whoever was supposed to be next year's worship master look incompetent or like he wasn't doing his job. That to me, that's the textbook definition of electioneering.
Right, right. That's that's a good point. That's a good point. I I think that it's a fine line. What's interesting is what I've noticed with our Grand Master is that at his events, when he's had the ones that I've been at least, when he's had anybody say something about them making themselves available, all he's done is said, "Stand up and state your name." That's it.
Yeah,
there's
because
there's no softballs being thrown. It's just, stand up. Hi, I'm this person, and I've made myself available. And that's
yeah.
and what position. But that's it.
Because
not anything else.
If I know that this person is making themselves available, I can go talk with them and make my own decision. Right? It's when
Right.
when you have 3 or 4 guys and you have it all pre-planned, you're completely controlling the narrative.
Right.
As opposed to, hey, come have a conversation with us, and we'll tell
Right.
you what our beliefs are. That's totally different.
Yeah. And I'm one of those guys that I would definitely want to sit down and have a scotch with you and talk about, what your ideas are, in one-on-one in a hotel or whatever, or at a bar or what have you. I would definitely do that. And I think that that's perfectly legitimate because you're just two brothers talking about, what's going on. Because I want to know, I want to be informed on what's on who's in those situations. But
Yep.
I just don't think that that having something that seems orchestrated be a part of my play. I would not want that to be a part of my play.
Yeah.
That would look pretty bad, I think.
Yeah. It's we talk a lot about controlling the West Gate, but there's also controlling the East Gate, and that you want to have conversations with people that you're going to put in leadership positions, and you want to have discussions on the best direction for your organization. However, when you have multiple people and you have it all, even if it's not word for word, if you have a general idea of what talking points you want to bring up, it gives you're basically, I hate to say slander, but you basically have the opportunity to slander your opponent without blatantly doing so, as well
Right.
as pumping up all the good stuff you want people to know about, as opposed to having a conversation and people asking you the tough questions. You say, hey, this is what I want you to know, all the good stuff. This is why you shouldn't vote for this guy in the future. That's we're done. Deuces. And that's not okay.
Right.
It's very
Right.
one-sided.
Right. Well, and that's exactly why we needed to go ahead and let people know now that, part of being the Grand West is not just being the Grand West one year, but being part of the Grand West every year.
Mm-hmm.
My goal has always been that democracy is never wrong. It's never going to be wrong, because if everybody votes, then the will of the people is never the wrong choice, because it's the will of the people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but if people don't show up, then you're not getting a good reflection of the lodges. You're not getting a good reflection of our fraternity, and we're just doing a disservice to our brotherhood. To be honest with you, that's kind of how I feel. If we're not showing up every
The situations that arose up, was it the year before last now? The reasons, yeah, it was last year. The situations that led up to last year and the need for us to all make such a presence at Grand Lodge in January was due to apathy, right? That Grand Lodge auditorium should be packed like it was this January every year. Because when you are not present, then you have no control over what's happening. And that's what certain players in any organization, that's what they depend on. They depend on a certain level of apathy from the majority of the organizational body, so they can pass things along. They can kind of control things. They have this level of control over how things go. But when people start showing up and they've been informed and they've educated themselves, that's not what they want to see, because all of a sudden, well, you see like last year. You see like it was in January. You see, man, I'm trying to keep myself out of trouble here, but
that's tough.
Sometimes you see. It's easy to be a lion in a small group, right? But when those, like a small group of gazelles, but when they turn around and start coming at you, the real character will show. Are you a kitten or are you really a lion? And when the Grand Gazelle West showed up, we saw kittens. We saw like, hey, whoa, we're okay, all right. We understand what you're saying. But this is like,
I don't know that we saw kittens. I think that we just saw defeat.
Maybe so.
I don't think it was kittens. I think it was defeat, and I think that that's why this year we just found out about this happening in San Antonio,
mm-hmm.
because it was defeat and it wasn't kittens.
Yeah.
Because the lions are at it.
Yeah. Well, regardless of how good my analogy was,
that was pretty rough.
We put me on a spot, but like we were talking about early February this year, we have to show back up. It's not a one and done thing. We have to show up in force, prepared to continue to fight for what we believe, because there are players in Texas Freemasonry that have licked their wounds and have formulated new ideas, new plans, and it wasn't like we said. It was we won a battle, but not a war. And what I mean by that is a war is won by winning battles over a long period of time. We won a battle, and it was a big battle, but we have to show up ready to fight for what is right for Texas Freemasonry again this January.
Well, and just to be clear, I think that no matter who you want to vote for, you got to show up.
Yep.
I mean, really, no matter who that way the will of the lot, the will of the Grand West is going to prevail, and then I feel like it's a real representation of the lodges and our brothers and democracy in general. It's just like when we have our elections in our regular government and everybody gets upset. And it's like, well, did you show up to vote? No, I don't do that anymore. I hate all of them. It's like, well, nothing's ever going to change. You're the one that these guys are counting on to stay in office.
Mm-hmm.
You're that apathy. You're the ones that they're counting on for them to stay in office.
Yeah.
So if we don't show up, then we have no reason, no right to complain.
Well, it's like people complain about a two-party system, but because they're told they'll be throwing their vote away for someone else. But if everyone who didn't show up to vote voted for the person that they liked, even if they were a third party, that would totally change the dynamics of everything.
Oh yeah. Have you ever seen that movie Brewster's Millions?
What was it?
It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Brewster's Millions with Richard Pryor.
Nope.
So he's this washed up minor league baseball player, and he has this stepdad that was a millionaire that died, that he didn't realize that, whatever. But anyways, he died, and he wanted to leave him $27 million, but he told him he had to spend $1 million in a certain amount of time, or he couldn't win the money, he couldn't get the big inheritance, and he couldn't tell anybody what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He had to just spend all the money. So he's sitting there trying to figure out a way that he could spend all this money without it coming right back to him, because he kept giving money and he kept making money by mistake, and he wasn't trying to. And so he finally decides, these lack of a better word, jackasses were running for government. And he does this big campaign of vote for none of the above. and and he spends all of his money voting for none of the above, and ends up winning. But it was a hilarious movie, and everybody hated it because he was wasting all this money, but they didn't realize, he had to spend $1 million to get 27 million. And so it was a pretty funny movie. Man. But but you just wouldn't think that in today's politics that could ever happen, because we're such a two-party system. We've had several independents run in the past, and they just never pulled it off.
That's one movie.
But in Grand Lodge, we usually do have multiple. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that's one movie they could never remake. Like, you have to spend $1 million. Oh, go buy a house. You're covered. Right.
Well, he couldn't buy because he couldn't buy anything that would accumulate. He couldn't own anything at the end of it. He had to just completely blow it.
Gotcha. He
couldn't have any assets.
Understood.
That was a great one. I in fact, I'm gonna get that one. I think I have it on DVD.
That was the thing. He had to be penniless at the end of it, but it wasn't just $1 million. I want to say it was $30 million he had to spend in 30 days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a big amount.
Yeah.
Go buy groceries. Right. Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
That may be it. Yes.
That
was the thing. He couldn't have any assets after it was done, and nothing to show for it. Had to be penniless. That was an awesome movie.
Funny. Sorry, what were we saying?
But we ultimately, in our democracy in Grand Lodge, we usually do have more than one person, and but we usually only really vote for the Grand Junior Warden. We usually don't contest the others, and sometimes they need to be contested, but usually they don't. Usually they do a good job, and our guys now are good. I think every one of our officers this year, from the Grand Master, Deputy Grand Master, Grand Senior Warden, Grand Junior Warden, Grand Secretary, Grand Treasurer, every one of our trustees is doing an excellent job.
Absolutely.
I truly believe that every one of them are doing an excellent job. And I don't see any reason why it should change. But I do believe in democracy, so I will not tell anybody not to put their name in the hat or what have you.
Yeah.
I would never do that.
If I may.
Go right ahead. Please do.
You don't believe it needs to change. You don't believe that the Grand Line needs to change. And I agree. I don't think the Grand Line needs to change, but I think the opportunity needs to be there.
Yes.
As was evidenced this past January, the opportunity needs to be there to adjust the Grand Line if the Grand West believes that it is appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we saw that this year.
Yep.
I agree wholeheartedly. Yep. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah. The opportunity should always be there. And for a long time, I mean, we've always had the opportunity, but it was, there was years where it wasn't so much a buffet as it was like a in and out, like you got 3 options, right? And so these last few years, it feels a lot more opened up, right? Where we have a lot more options. And I think that's healthy. I think that's good. But I think it's also important to really not have a one-sided biased narrative explaining why anyone is the person for the job while bashing anyone else. It's important to have conversations with these people and also to understand why they're running for what they're running for and what the purposes are of that. Because I mean, let's be honest, some of the contested offices are very important. It's beyond just the day-to-day. I mean, they're also on the board of trustees for the Grand Lodge. And so it's a really big picture, and we got to be sure that we are understanding the heart of why everyone is doing what they're doing. And I'm not suggesting anyone's doing anything for the wrong reasons. I'm just saying it's important that we keep these things in mind.
Right. Yeah, I tend to also, I don't know, something that bugged me was that they made sure and said that, he brought Grandview into play with Grand West, and that's true. That's true, no doubt about it. But I can just because I brought a copy of Morals and Dogma to the library doesn't mean that I wrote it. And it doesn't mean I put my heart, sweat, and tears into it. It means that I brought it to the library for you to take over and read it. And so anything that you read and then do with, that's all on you, right? That's good on you for what you've done with that information. That's good on you for what you've taken it from. So I don't know. I have mixed emotions about that. That one kind of bugged me when I heard that. It's like, oh my gosh. And like I said, that wasn't from just one person.
Yeah.
I had several people say, are you kidding me? And it's like, well, I wasn't there. I don't know. Yeah. But they told me the same thing, the same scenario, each one of them. It wasn't, so I have to believe that it wasn't a lie.
And let's be clear, like Grandview's a great program now. Was it when it came in? I mean, probably better than what we had.
No, it had a lot.
It did have a lot of issues. Yeah, so you can't look at the big picture now and say, "Look what I brought," when really it was the work of the people that came after you and the company itself that got it to where it is.
Right. Well, even today, I mean, we're just now getting the data dumps that we really need to pull the data on all the lodge statistics. We didn't have that that wasn't even on Grandview's radar at that time. For us, we actively worked with them to make that happen and tell them what we wanted and all that kind of stuff. And that took a lot of effort from a lot of people to make that happen. Yeah. But that's been in the works for a long time and has just now come to fruition to where, we'll be able to have more data than we've ever had before on our lodges, to where we really know, these are the positives and these are the negatives. What can we do to make these negatives positives so that we can help these struggling lodges and this and that? Where are they struggling so that we can help them to, get re-engaged? And that just happened recently. It's been a long time coming. They've been working on it for a long time, but it's just really started coming into fruition. So for anybody to take total credit for any of it is just crazy. That's just crazy talk.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, is anybody saying anything online before we go any further?
Oh, Sean Rothberg hopped up and we're just all giving him crap.
Oh, okay, good. Sean needs to be given crap.
No, he said, "Hey, did I miss anything?" And I think Caesar said, "Well, Dennis was stripped down earlier." And Sean said, "Oh, the dentists wear underwear." So I'm like, most people do, Sean. It's not like it was a degree or anything. So.
Yeah. Right. Yes. He always has to go for the underwear.
I know. What's up with that?
I know. What's up with you, Sean?
And buttered muffins. What's up with this group?
I know there's something wrong with us. For real. So moving forward, that being said, we've got a lot of things coming up that we need to work on. By the way, we've got a secretary's training on Zoom for all you brothers out there that are new secretaries. I won't be on there because I've got another lodge meeting that same night, so I won't be able to be there. I'll be speaking that night. But every secretary out there that's going to be available, please go do it. And then we've got the treasurer schools that are going in full speed now. We've also got this new program that the Grand Lodge just came out with, which is the Worshipful Masters training program, which it costs $300 to the lodge, but it's like a one-on-one mentorship training for Worshipful Masters that have never gone through any of the type of training or anything like that, and don't have mentors of their own that are really helping them, propel their lodge into the future. So it's really some one-on-one to help people in those positions. So I think that those are some great things that have come about here recently that everybody needs to be aware of, so they can get engaged and help their lodges. So I touched on, you need to get your hotel room because they're going fast. Yeah, I've already got mine done, and then I've had several people already send me their pictures of their Airbnb.
Oh,
and
nice.
there's some awesome houses being rented.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some big colonial houses that are being rented up there. Yeah,
I already got my room. I mean, it feels like home. It's that nice.
You're right.
Same place I stay at every year.
Right, me too. And I keep getting this hotel with a pool, with the indoor pool, so that my wife and daughter will have something to do. But now it's only for the first and second day. Then they head off to one of Sarah's competitions, which, by the way, folks, my daughter is number 6 in the nation this year. She
nice.
Yes, we finished nationals. We just got home, in fact, this afternoon, and she is number 6 in the nation in trampoline. They thank you, brothers. They
it kind of sounds like there's 5 other fathers who are a little bit more proud.
Wow, Jason.
Damn. Well, not this
Wow.
proud, because she was invited to the elite team.
Oh,
And
cool.
the elite team is the team that actually goes beyond nationals and goes to the world championships. And so
I'll be awesome.
she's she's only 8 years old, guys, and
That is
they're
impressive.
prepping her. They're prepping her for the 2028 Olympics. That's why she's been invited.
Nice.
So
wow.
I don't think many are
Is there-
as proud as
what's
I
the
am.
minimum age for the
Jason.
Olympics? What's the minimum age?
The youngest ever was 10 years old. She'll be 12 at that time.
Wow, that is awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah, so
But
she'd be able to go 3 times in her career if she wanted to, realistically.
I just want to say, every time you talk about going to a hotel and swimming in the pool or something, I think of the Houston OLT that you and I went to, and that conference that was there, and the hotel. and my wife and my kids went into the pool, and I was like, that's like frothy. I mean, I was like, that is brave.
Uh-oh, speaking of my talented daughter, she put a note under the door that said she got in the top 10 in 2 different events, not just the one.
Oh,
It was also
correction. Well, at least you know we should listen to our podcast.
I know, right? I've got
Get
one
your
more
facts straight,
Get your
Dad.
facts straight,
I
Dad.
know, right? Tell me. But the trampoline, the other one is called double mini, which is a small trampoline where they hit it, do some flips, and then hit it again and jump off and do some flips and stuff. And so she placed in that as well. But that one they don't do in the Olympics, not yet. If they do skateboarding, buddy, I'm going to start petitioning for
Oh,
double
man.
mini. Dang it.
You get broken
They
up
just-
as it is, dude. You don't need to get back on skateboards.
Oh, dude. Oh, yeah. I'm not talking about me.
Okay.
I'm talking about petitioning for double mini. I'm not going to petition to get on a skateboard. Are you kidding me?
What's that meme? I can't remember the dude's name. He's an actor, and he's like, "Hello, fellow kids." And he's got the skateboard on his shoulder or whatever.
I don't want to know. What
You
kind
haven't
of
seen that?
stuff do
Let me
you
find it.
watch?
Oh man,
Oh my gosh.
who is that guy?
That's so bad. That's so bad. But anyways, my daughter's awesome, and I'm super proud. And her whole team is awesome, but she's extremely awesome. So I'm a pretty proud dad. I've done pretty good.
As you should
And
be.
she, not only that, but she
Hey,
acts like a princess.
I posted it in chat just so you see it. So.
I don't want to see it.
he's like, hello, fellow kids. That'd be you if you went to got back on a skateboard. Anyway.
Isn't that Steve Buscemi?
I think I
Oh
couldn't
my
remember the last name.
goodness.
Yeah, I knew it started with a B.
Oh yes, I love him.
Yeah, he's funny.
And for all of you guys that don't know, he's the bum in Big Daddy. He's he's the one that
He
does the zip line on Grown Up.
he's Rockhound in that Bruce Willis Meteor movie, whatever that was. I forget, but yeah, he's a
Yes.
nutcase. He's so much fun.
A lot of people don't know he was a firefighter in New York before he became an actor. And when 9/11 happened, he wasn't a firefighter, but he volunteered and helped out with everything since he has that background. So he's a good guy and funny.
I got another note in there that said she's a good princess, not the spoiled kind.
Okay.
So just so y'all know, I mean that, and that's true. She is. She's a very, very good kid. Very good, mild mannered.
She's a good kid.
Most of the time. Good night. I mean, yours, you would have been pushing them out with your hand. This, if they were coming into your room.
Oh yeah, my kids
Mine-
are like
mine
wild
just
animals.
moves.
They're like, yeah, they're crazy. I don't know who they get that from. Probably their mom.
Uh,
But yeah, they're a little
I don't
nuts.
think so.
They got that rebel
She's
streak.
the
in
nice
them.
one. She's the nice one.
Oh.
Another thing that is important to mention, which Byron did mention on to us, is why we pay annually um, for Grandview and the Texas Masons app to get all the data that we can get. It doesn't come without a cost. So we need to support those things so that we can make sure and continue to get that data. Grandview isn't free. The Texas Masons app does help pay for that. I get the $25 one so that I can get the monitor and the law book, and it's I hardly ever use it, but when I need it, man, it is good to have, for sure.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
and
very useful.
the other thing that I'd like to bring up in that regard is, we've been seeing these posts from, I believe it's Zach Haston, where he's
Yes.
showing the metrics, the
Yes, the
visual
data.
metrics of all of
Yes.
that data.
Mhm.
And that stuff doesn't happen for nothing.
No.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That's why we need to support these things. The Grandview and the app, both. By doing that, we make that data available.
Yep.
And we can then take that data and use it to make better, more well-informed decisions regarding the fraternity.
Well, when you don't use data,
Absolutely.
particularly good data, to inform your decision-making process, first of all, you're just making decisions based off your feelings. And you also have no way of determining if we accomplished our goal, right? You have to have data. You have to say, look, regardless of how we feel about the numbers, these are the numbers, and we have to make a decision based off that. Not, well, I feel like if we did more fundraising, or I feel like if we had lower dues, or I feel like we just brought in more people, we'd be good. Well, let's actually look at the data, whatever you'll say, and see if there's trends. And we looked at a lot of those. So, and I'll be very transparent. I'm very disappointed in how many people took the time to look at that video, because the information in that is vital to the longevity of so many lodges. And we stressed that when we shared it. I mean, you could do you You do a dumbass picture of a girl shaped in a yoga position and get thousands of likes and comments. But if you actually create something intellectual with value, you really kind of see why Freemasonry is in the state it is in right now, because you don't get the feedback and the thoughts and the conversations that you should. And so I'm sorry for calling out the fraternity like that, but like we yes, it's a 3 hour, it's close to 3 hours, maybe like 2.5. Yes, I understand it's long. You don't have to watch it all in one go. It's very important. The data is there, and I normally would not stress this like I am right now, but it's that important. And if you don't know where your lodge is going, or if your lodge is struggling, you need to take the time to watch that video. It's that important.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and it goes right along with the Excel spreadsheet that we shared last week.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, were you here, Jason? The one show that Jason wasn't here.
You guys didn't have the inner. Oh, that's right. No, I was not. Yes, but I did watch the video.
And we had an Excel spreadsheet on here, and Jason missed it. The one show, but it's the same thing though. I mean, that's the data for the lodge, right? And if you're not, and I haven't had anybody asking for that. I had one person, and that was Brad Hoff, because he's actively trying to help his lodge and figure out what they can do better, and have a tool for them to show the members. Mm-hmm. And that one program can tell you all you need to know about your lodge in 30 minutes. 30 minutes of hard work putting the numbers together, just filling in the blanks, really. You just the secretary or treasurer needs to just go online and get all the information from all their accounts and stuff like that in Grandview, and then they can fill it out and have all that information for the lodge. But here we go, same thing. I mean, I guess it's that situation of not, if you don't see it, then you can claim ignorance. Maybe that's what people think anyways, but I don't believe that. I believe you cannot claim ignorance if you choose not to pursue it.
Yeah.
And that goes the same, as we were speaking before, it's the same thing with our officers in elect, or our people making themselves available at Grand Lodge. If we don't do our due diligence with these people, and number one, hold them all accountable to the same rules, don't let electioneering happen, or if we are going to do it, I mean, and I'm going to tell you, I've said it before, that I think that we ought to allow it in certain situations, because people need to know. The lodges need to know what's happening out there, because a lot of them are just not in touch.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why we were pushing for, we wanted to have that forum last year on the show, and it didn't happen. But
it was completely, well, yeah, and they didn't want to come on because they were afraid of electioneering or whatever, which was totally not what we were going to do. Everyone was going to get asked the exact same questions. They were going to know ahead of time. Mm-hmm. The only editing was going to be in case somebody said something that would get them in trouble, and we wouldn't want that to happen. But they said, oh, well, these guys might, edit it to their advantage, to somebody else's advantage. It's like, are you kidding me? Really?
Yeah.
Can I say something here?
No.
Go right ahead.
So, all right. Sorry. Most of y'all don't know me, and my name is Byron Weber. I'm past master of Brady Lodge number 628.
I know you, Brian.
Yeah, because we met at the backyard last year.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Especially in these small country lodges like mine, when we get the statements of availability, all we have to go on is the bio that comes with that statement of availability. Mm-hmm. And, looking at that at our lodge level, okay, and I'm not going to speak to lodges in metropolitan areas or anything like that. I'm just talking about my little country lodge. We have dudes who go, oh no, that guy is okay. Like in the case of Paul Underwood, you know, that guy grew up in the home, in the Masonic home. So we like that dude because he's not, you know, a businessman or he didn't.
Right.
It's obvious that he did not come into Masonry out of it, you know, personally. He came in to put something back because he received early in his life. That was one of the reasons that my lodge chose to vote for Grandmaster Underwood. You know, it's hard. It's very hard to select a man who is going to lead Freemasonry statewide without some amount of electioneering. The simple truth is we need to know more about the men who are running for these offices. And I don't know how to make this work, but I feel like it needs to change a little bit. Just, you know, that much.
Well, as it is right now, like you're talking about with statements of availability, really the only thing that makes you stand apart is your Masonic bio. So whoever's been in the most organizations for the most time, they're going to have the most text under their name, but it doesn't tell you anything about their leadership capabilities or their beliefs or their ideas for the fraternity. It's just factual. We need like
their goals. Okay, that's really the thing that I was trying to drive at is
vision, goals.
We don't know where these guys want to go with the fraternity without some sort of electioneering, and that I believe maybe that ought to be part of that statement of availability. You know, there should be a field there that says, where do you see Texas Freemasonry during your year in the Grand East?
A vision and a goal. That's good. Sorry, Dennis. What were you going to say? I didn't mean to ramble.
That is a good idea, and only let it come out all together after everybody has submitted theirs, and that way they can't read one guy's and then say, oh well, I can do better at that.
But also put a character limit on it. Right. I'd be there all day. I'd write it. Say, well, some of these guys will take advantage of that and just like type away. So you had to have a character limit. But yeah.
Well, and right now, all we have is basically, you know, based on their feathers. Where, you know, I say let's do a survey on all the different organizations they're a part of, not the invitation only organizations either. Let's do a survey of all the you know, normal Masonic organizations that they've been a part of and see how well they did. Let's see what their peers say that they did as far as, you know, how well they led their group and what they did during their time, because there's a lot of them that probably served some time, a time, whatever, and did not do that great of a job, and that's very possible.
Yeah,
that's very plausible, right? That sometimes some of these things are just feathers so that they can, you know, get to the next level. They're like game levels or something, you know, just something to put on the bio.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I'm trying not to name names, I guess, but sadly our election, this is a chat. Sadly, our elections seem to be a popularity contest, or at least a game of name recognition. I think there should be a certain degree of name recognition, because if they're doing good things in the fraternity, you should know who they are. It shouldn't.
I don't know. I'm out there, and I'm not always doing.
Oh, people know. People know who you are. That is.
People know my good and bad. At least it's even Steven, right? Well, maybe not. My bad kind of comes out more, I think.
Usually if I think I looked in the Masonic dictionary for Masonic Rebel, and your picture was next to it, but everyone knows who you are.
As long as there's not bars in front of it, that's okay. No bars or a dollar figure underneath.
Maybe
man.
a Venmo link for need bail money now.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
a brother. I guess I could say his name since. So this one's Zach Haston. He hopped in. And he says maybe we can get a candidate forum done on Zoom this year. And
I would love to. That's what we were saying earlier, is that we wanted to last year and we asked them, but they declined. And several of them were willing to.
yeah,
And then all of a sudden, as a big bunch, they stopped.
but I feel like it
And-
has to be all or none, because then
Well,
they'll come in after the fact saying, "Well, you didn't include us. We didn't." You know, they could make any kind of accusation when things don't go their way if they're not on the forum.
Maybe this is an opportunity to get the I know grand secretary involved and go, hey man, is this something that we can do within the bounds of our rules to suggest that the guys who want to run for the Grand South, or if they want to jump into the line, as deputy grandmaster, whatever, is this an opportunity that we can take as the Grand West to say to our Grand Secretary, how do we make this happen?
That's an idea.
Yeah,
Well, really, it wouldn't be the Grand Secretary so much. I mean, the Grand Secretary would do the how, because it wouldn't be on our show, of course. But the if would go to the Grand Master for sure. That would be a Grand Master's decision.
Yeah.
But I don't think that that's I don't think that that's out of the realm of what he could do.
if you
I know if
can't-
it was my forum, I would tell everybody I had developed leaders. My daughter not only won those things with her abilities, but she also got the #1 costume that she thought up, designed, built, and wore out there, for their march on Friday night. She was an Etch-a-Sketch, and
cool.
she won that. She won that position as well. So, just saying. So
sounds
I
kind of
developed
sketchy.
it is kind of sketchy, but I develop leaders.
But and we said this before. If you're running for a state office, any kind of state office, I'm not even just talking about Freemasonry, or even locally, if you can't sit down and I'm still not talking about Freemasonry, I'm talking about if you want to run for city council or something, if you can't sit down and answer questions about what you plan to do at any time, right, then you don't need to be running for that position. Now, especially if you say, hey, in a week, we're going to have a forum and we are going to discuss these questions. If you can't come up with something by then, you don't need to be on city council. You don't need to be state rep or anything. You don't need to do anything statewide or locally or anything, because you're not really prepared to actually do the job if you can't answer the questions.
That's
Just saying.
That's a very valid point. That's a very valid point. And that's another thing. If you can't, if you're not comfortable being around people, that's something you ought to work on if you're going to be Grandmaster.
And
I
I
love-
don't see how that would absolutely qualify as electioneering. I think there's certainly a lot of gray area there in regards to what constitutes electioneering
Mm-hmm.
and what is just being a Mason.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and I think that's interesting that you brought that up, because several of us have talked about this before, that that law is pretty vague as to what electioneering really is and what is called electioneering. And so, really, if you're if it's all an even playing field, if we're all on the level, so this is prime example in Houston at the MWSA. they were able to stand up and actually talk.
Mm-hmm.
And in Arlington, they usually get to go ahead and stand up and talk. And so if you can do it in that scenario, why can't you do it online? Even if it's, through Grand Lodge, to where it's only available to the members of Grandview, and make it controlled, what have you.
Mm-hmm.
But at least give the full membership an opportunity to see these questions fielded, and gone through. It doesn't need to be a debate,
Mm-hmm.
but just straight up,
Yeah, there's no
here's my
conversation
answer.
between the candidates. It's just question, answer.
Right. And you could, if you did it in that situation, you could actually do those interviews independently.
Yeah.
And then you would get their true answer and not something based on what somebody else said.
Yeah.
And then you could just put them all together as one big video. That way you get somebody's actual decisions on why they're doing it, how they plan on going about it, what they think they can bring to the table to benefit the fraternity. Go ahead, Jason, what you got?
Well, I thought it might be useful to kind of clarify what electioneering is and the definition of it.
Please do.
And it's
Nice.
to take part. If you know anything about me, this may not be actually helpful. It is to define as to take part actively and energetically in the activities of an election campaign.
Oh, okay.
So-
See, I
Just
have
thought I'd help. Thought I'd help.
I have a more specific.
Shit. I'm always
Yeah.
electioneering,
But it's
I'm always
really not all
energetic.
that helpful.
No,
Yeah,
my,
That's the
right.
thing.
in my book,
You know,
in my book, if you are controlling the narrative and not giving other people an opportunity to speak, or if you are offering something in like a reward for your vote, those two things to me are electioneering. Having a forum and conversations, that's education. In my book, that's how I interpret it.
Right. Data. Yeah.
Now, if we brought someone on that was running for a position and we just let them slander everybody else and talk about how great a job he'll do, that's a problem, right? Or if we had a forum and only let like the people we like talk, that's electioneering.
Right.
But if you give everybody a fair chance to answer the same questions, that's just education. That's just a forum. That's a forum of brothers. But like when you like we talked about earlier, if you stand up and you got a handful of guys and you just control one side of the story, that's electioneering. Or like we talked about historic, like a long time ago, like hey, here's $5 here's $100 to vote for me or something like that. That's definitely electioneering.
Well, that's Tammany Hall stuff from the 18th century. That doesn't happen anymore, right?
That's all that happens anymore. That's not here, not with Freemasonry, but in real life. That's the only reason the people become vice presidents and
no, you did not just say that out loud.
That's all. Well,
the audacity.
In reality, I had someone that was going to work with me at one time to start working towards becoming a state representative, right? And I was looking at the salary. It's like $7,600 a year. What the? How am I going to do that? I can't afford to do that. And then I started thinking, well, if I just put enough people, if I just jump into enough people's pockets, then I can certainly afford to do that. But that's not me. I could not, or would not do that. And so I gave up that aspiration, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Another thing that I was, well, no, go ahead. Do something else. Talk about something else. I don't want to get myself in trouble.
Brother Haston on the chat, he's talking about District 64, how they have a candidate forum every year. The only difference would be that this would be taking an already open forum and posting it online. And then he also says, we have the advantage here of all the trustees having participated in an open candidate forum. It'd be hard for them to grab about that. So, yeah.
That's exactly right. Right.
I think the way to, I don't know, maybe it's just me. I'm kind of a logistical dude. If you're gonna encourage candidates for the Grand South, okay, so we're just gonna use that as an example. You're gonna encourage the candidates for the Grand South to participate in a forum and give them the opportunity to answer these questions that the Grand West chooses to put to them. You have to do it in such a way, as you said earlier, that nobody gets to hear anybody else's response, but nothing gets edited.
Yeah.
There
Oh yeah.
No, we learned that though. We learned that. We didn't edit
and
anything, but
put
that was a big
as
concern.
they give them.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's
and
interesting.
that's that's the thing. That's where people are going to get concerned. Well, I don't want those guys to edit my answers. No, you're going to see the timestamp uninterrupted from start to finish
Here's the
as they
thing.
get the questions and their answers.
Here's the thing. I don't play those kind of games, and Dennis doesn't either. And what I mean by that is if, regardless of how you feel about me, and regardless of how I feel about you, for something like that, it's time to be transparent. I don't play games like that.
Yeah.
I would put the whole thing in there just like it is.
Because
just because
that's the way it has to go.
Yeah. I mean, just because you don't like me, that's fine. That's not going to affect me. And just because I may not affect somebody that's running for something, which I'm not saying I don't, but if it came to it, I'm still going to give them the benefit of the doubt and let the Grand West decide if they're best or not. I'm not going to gatekeep.
Sorry, go ahead, Dennis.
What's crazy is that we proved that when Rayburn and Right Worshipful Rayburn and Moxley were both against each other that one year, and we brought them both on the show, had an interview with each one of them, and they both went great, and they both got their views, and nobody got hurt over it.
Yeah.
And in fact, we were just wanting to give them both an opportunity to get to the members of the Grand West, because frankly, a lot of times they're visiting so many lodges. Most of the time it's to the bigger lodges because those are the ones where they're going to get the most impact from their mileage, right? Believe me, I understand mileage. I've got 30,000 miles in my truck in the past, 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
And so I completely understand mileage. And so they want to get the best impact they can out of their mileage. So they're typically going to the bigger lodges, not the little Goliaths and all the other ones. So that's why we did that for Rayburn and Moxley.
Yeah.
And we didn't exhibit any kind of untrustworthiness throughout the whole process, even after, and it ended up being a fair election, and it was what it was.
So what's important to point out, and I was thinking about this, Masonic improvement. We're not kingmakers. We're about Masonic education. That's our vision. That's our goal. That's what we're here for, is Masonic education. And what education is more relevant or pertinent to any Grand Lodge than learning about the people that are running for their Grand Offices? That's why we reach out every year and try to offer forums, or like we did with Moxley and Right Worshipful Reader, is giving the Grand West an opportunity to be educated about these people. And that's what it's about. That's all it's about. It's not about showing one side or the other or anything like that.
Well, and it is also why we bring things to the attention of the brothers that aren't privy to this kind of stuff, because like I belong to little lodges, so I wasn't a part of this thing that happened at the MWSA in San Antonio. So when I have several people reach out to me and tell me that there's stuff going on to where you've got one candidate coming in and then having 3 people with them that are prompting questions and answers from that one candidate for a position that he's going against an incumbent, and then trying to make that incumbent look bad. I mean, that's, to me, that bothers me. That bothers me that happened. And so we try to educate on those things too. It's not a matter of picking sides. It's a matter of making sure that you're informed. It's just like well, let's take Right Worshipful Reader. I was upset about things that were done last year with the Grand Lodge, and I was very vocal on my opinions on those and my frustration. Mm-hmm. And I voted for all of them that were sitting there at the time. And I was even upset with Right Worshipful Reader. However, this year I have new information on Right Worshipful Reader, and I feel completely different than I did last year. I think that he's shown great poise and dedication to the craft. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like he was the person that I voted for originally, right?
Yeah.
And so I can make a good decision with the information that I'm given, right?
Yep.
And as new information comes along, I'm going to take that new information and I'm going to make a new decision if it's worthy. Mm-hmm. And like this situation here, I believe that was worthy. And so I absolutely would not say anything to the contrary. In fact, I think it's warranted at this time, to say something like that, because it's been a while and I hadn't said it yet. And I've been watching and paying attention. I always pay attention. I'm always listening. I'm always, I get around. I talk to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I have a fairly educated point of view on these kinds of things. So, I think it's only fair to say that, and I think that every brother deserves that, even if they don't have the opportunity to leave their little towns. Mm-hmm. Not everybody has that opportunity. And so I think that it's a very fair way to let people get to know our brothers that are in leadership positions.
Yeah. You get to know them in a way you wouldn't otherwise.
Yes. One of the coolest interviews we ever had was with Right Worshipful Billings.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the coolest interviews we ever had. And a lot of people loved it. A lot of people enjoyed it. And, that was really the first of its kind. We did the same thing with Most Worshipful Almager, who is currently Most Worshipful in New Mexico. And kind of the same thing. People really got to know these brothers when they get on the show. People will be a lot more relaxed and fun on a show like this instead of having to be at an official anything.
Yeah, Right Worshipful Billings dropped the day of his installation. Like it was like we talked with him after. Or are you talking about? Did we do one before that? I know he's been on the show a few times.
Yeah, it was right before we dropped it the day of. It was planned to drop the day of.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think he's been a guest more than a lot. I think
we're gonna have to get him a purple jacket before too long.
He and Kyle have a tie, I think.
Like they do with Saturday Night Live, get him one of those purple jackets with it. But they can only wear it when they're on the show. Then they have to give it back.
Yeah. Nice.
We don't want to make them feel too good about it.
Yeah.
And that's going to work great until we have a guest that is 5 feet tall and 400 pounds, and we're going to have to buy a whole bunch of different jackets.
And then the next one is Brad Billings, and then he's just dwarfs and just
right. It looks like his jacket was made by Omar, the tent maker.
Yeah, exactly.
But I kind of wanted to go back to something that we were talking about a little bit earlier. We had a time in the history, not only of the fraternity, but of the country, where rational discourse was not a cause for hatred. Rational discourse just was people talking about opposing viewpoints, putting their side out, and listening to the other side.
Mm-hmm. We should.
I feel like we have that opportunity so much today. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, it feels like we should have a point somewhere in one of our degrees where we say, "Hey, rhetoric's important, and we need to learn how to do that."
It's not, yeah, I mean, we have that, but how many times do you see within our home lodges even where rhetoric is just kind of shuffled off to the side in favor of somebody dominating a conversation and putting out that this is the way it's supposed to be and this is the way it's always been. And I'm not going to say it's a past mixture because I'm a past
Right.
but
I see it more than I would like to admit.
I do too. And I feel like maybe this is something that it's hard to reinforce something that is already part of our degrees.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And maybe this might be an opportunity to go into maybe a little more depth, especially on the EA degrees, or sorry, that would be the fellowcraft degree, where we really take a good long look, a good long discussion about rhetoric and how it honestly affects the way we conduct business, not only at the local level, but at the grand lodge level.
Honestly, the entire staircase would be a great 7-month long presentation project.
Yeah. Well, let's not talk about all of it on our show because this is a live show, guys. But
sorry.
But no.
I mean, you see where I'm going with this, though.
Well, absolutely. I tell everybody that, I want you to challenge me.
Mm-hmm.
I want to have that debate with you, but that's because I'm willing to change my mind. If you give me enough data and give me a compelling reason, I am willing to change my mind.
Yeah.
But you have to be intelligent about it, and you have to stump me. You got, and sometimes I've been stumped, and I've just said, "Whoa, I'm going to have to take a minute to think about this." But
or do the research.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Figure
or
it
do
out.
the research. Yes.
But
but I'm willing. And I think that's what rhetoric is.
Yeah, that's the point I was hoping to make, is that we need to remember all of these things that we learned in our degrees.
Yeah.
And
and
be willing to embrace them, not just remember them, but embrace them.
And to Dennis's point also, like he and I, we're both really good about that. Like if we make a mistake, we'll acknowledge it. And I can't speak for Dennis, but I'm not beyond a public apology. If I speak out of turn and then I have information that proves like, hey, you were wrong and you spoke out of turn, I'll correct it. And I think that's important for anybody, especially when you have a podcast or a grand office or anything like that. Like there's so many moving pieces in the world, and you can only get so much information, and you have to base your decisions off that information. And we all try not to speak out of turn, but sometimes it happens, and we make decisions and speak based off the information we have, which may, despite our best efforts, be only partial or not accurate. And he's acknowledged when he was wrong before, and I was wrong once, and I acknowledged it. And so, but I think you have to be that way.
I agree to acknowledge it if it in fact is something that is not speculative in nature. I'm willing to acknowledge that there may be other ways of looking at things, but I'm not willing to say that I'm wrong over something that I believe. However, if you do give me other information that makes me want to change my mind, I will.
Yeah.
But don't tell me that, this is the true meaning of the let's say the square and compasses, because everybody knows, we use the square and compasses. This is the true meaning of the square and compasses, and you're wrong. You are not. Don't even give me that, because we're speculative Masons, and there's so many different uses for the square and compasses. and the letter G and everything else under the sun and around the sun. There's so many there's there's so much open to interpretation that, don't tell me just because my theology is different than yours that I'm not allowed to have my views. I'm not telling you to be Church of Scientologist.
Yeah, I had to take all
I had to bring up something bad, didn't I? Or say something bad.
I was gonna say I had to take all my Kabbalah books and donate them since I found out I could never study it.
Right.
We'll see if he's still listening. He's in chat.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. We'll see if he says anything.
That's funny. Is he still in chat?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. Because I am definitely, I've been married twice. So does that count as a bonus? Does that? And I have 2 sets of kids, and yeah, I'm checking all the boxes twice. Is that too much, or?
I think that halves the requirements if you've been married twice.
You're right. Well,
so if I've been married 3 times, then does it cut the requirements by a third?
Yeah, you could have started when you were 17 or something.
Hey, hot dog!
Exactly. Well, I can't be a deacon anymore, so there goes that. Because I've been remarried, so there goes that relief. I'm just shot out of the park with that one, and that's the one I mainly go to. Golly, they saw me coming. They were glad to have me. They knew that I couldn't shut up, and they didn't want me to be a part of it. But anyways, enough knocking religion. We don't need to do that. But I won't knock anybody's faith.
Yeah.
I may give people a hard time over their religion, but I won't give them a hard time over their faith. And really, it's not even a hard time over religion. It's just I'll challenge anybody to their thoughts, and I'll make you back up your reason, and not just allow you to, say my way or the highway.
That's a good mentality to have.
But that's yeah, and that's with anything. And so that's really how I feel about all things, and it's how I feel about elections as well. I feel like that with the candidates. I think that having limited information is not good for any of us. I think that it was transparency that made people wake up last year.
Yeah.
And even to some degrees that I really didn't like all the things that came out.
It got a little. Some of it got a little toxic.
Right, but then you may be thinking some of the things that I'm not thinking though also.
Yeah. Because
there's some stuff I did like that came out, and there's other stuff that I didn't really like that came out. But transparency is transparency. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the problem, is that once we start really looking at things, if we don't want to look like bad guys, we shouldn't be bad guys, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I try to do what's right. Sometimes I stick my foot in my mouth, and I'm okay, and I'll apologize for that.
Yeah.
But I won't. I won't discourage you from bringing it to my attention either.
Brother Kirkpatrick says, "Wouldn't it be nice if we had a forum at Grand Lodge?"
That might be good.
Yeah.
That might be good. The day up.
My concern of that is the same reason, because I had thought when we were talking about the forum, was like, man, Grand Lodge should just host the forum and put it online. But the thing is, I feel almost like it's more, and I don't mean this as an accusation against you. Yeah, like, can you really? Yeah, like, are they all going to be softballs, or are they going to be real questions? And the same thing, like, even if you did it at Grand Lodge, right, they're going to go through the questions and be like, yeah, this is a little too. I don't know. I feel like it'd be better if you had.
And then people will get bored with it and not show up.
Yeah.
if we do it at Grand Lodge. That's just one more thing that a lot of people won't want to watch, and they'll.
Or is this gonna get more time than this guy? Are we gonna all have the same questions? Like I know if I did something like that, it would be fair and accurate, right? And it's not that I don't
Right.
trust anybody at Grand Lodge. That's not what I'm saying. But I have seen, we've all seen shenanigans. Let's just be honest. Yeah.
Well, and that's why they also fear the same from us, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be frank. I mean, that's why they fear the same from us. And it's sad that we have, had that come about. But I think that also transparency is what fixes that. You just have to do it. You can't keep asking for it. You just got to do it. You can't keep straying away from it because a couple people don't like it. You just got to do it and prove that it works.
Yeah.
It worked with Rayburn and Moxley. I keep saying Rayburn, right? Worshipful Reader and George Moxley.
The only reason
George Moxley.
The only reason I like a forum compared to individual videos, and granted, you could say, well, we should be informed of watching it anyway. If you have, how many people ran last year? Like if you did an individual, so we're looking at like.
Well, no, there was it 5 or was
I think maybe it was like I was thinking 5 or 6 or something like that. So that's why I
it
was
was
like
4 or 5. Yeah, I think it was 5.
So if we interviewed all of them, that's 5 hours of content you have to watch, as opposed to a forum where we're just specifically focusing on the questions and everyone has a chance to answer. You could watch it like it's like a 2-hour video or something like that.
Well, you could give a 2-minute response to each one. I mean, that's what we're supposed to do with our parliamentary procedures, and that's why we're not supposed to have somebody badgering us in our lodge, like Brother Upton was telling us earlier, which we see in almost every lodge we visit. Not in this one anymore, because I had a presentation this last week about parliamentary procedure, and that's something that we're very serious about going forward, is that we're not going to allow anyone to bully the lodge. Nobody. And so we're going to follow parliamentary procedure. We have Grand Lodge parliamentary procedures that were developed in 1974 and carried on, reprinted in 1993. And I have that copy if anybody wants it. It was removed from Grandview last year during a different Grand Master, but it should be coming back, in my opinion. Hopefully we'll get that to happen. But it's the official Grand Lodge opinion on parliamentary procedure, not the rules of etiquette that are up there.
Yeah, that needs to go back up.
That was a lot I just said, wasn't it?
No.
But we're teaching the real parliamentary procedure. The Grand Lodge of Texas parliamentary procedure, not Robert's Rules of Order, but the Grand Lodge of Texas parliamentary procedure. Yeah. And with that, you only get 2 minutes to speak, and then you got to sit down, wait your turn. You get to speak one more time on that same topic, 2 minutes, and then that's it.
That'd make a lot of conversations I sat through a lot more bearable in the past.
Oh, yeah. And not have them standing up on either sides, on this side and this side, going, hey. Yeah. There's nothing that pisses me off more than that. It makes me want to get up in the middle and say, hey, you're breaking the light. You're on either side in front of the light. You're going back and forth. You're speaking so much, you're breaking the light.
Well, it's not a committee meeting.
Right.
And I would even argue, depending on your committees, you might even implement it there in committees. But you can say, well, committees are a little more laid back, and that's fine if you got like 3 guys and it's just having a conversation. But you should not have those 3 guys having that conversation in your stated meeting and holding everybody else hostage.
Yeah, that's part of the procedure, is that they should have all they're supposed to do is stand up and report. The chairman of that committee should stand up and report. If there's a motion, they make a motion. The vice chair of that committee should stand up then and second that motion, and then let the lodge discuss and vote. And if you do that, then it takes away all the BS that tends to hold up lodges for 2 hours talking about the next fundraiser. Yeah, everybody took a deep breath on that one.
Okay, so I gotta say this. The idea is not necessarily get done with Lodge just as quickly as possible and move on to our next task. The idea, in my opinion, okay, and this is only mine, is that the Lodge should handle its business. If its business takes time, then its business takes time.
Yeah.
But at the same time, as you said, Dennis, we do need to have rules in place to make certain that we're not wasting the Lodge's time on wild BS.
It's a respect thing. You want to be respectful of people's time, especially if you want. But I'll also say this, especially since this is installation time. One of the biggest charges of the worship master is to provide education for his lodge. And if your lodge is consumed with 45 minutes of business conversations that defeat the purpose of having committees, and you're just talking back and forth for 10 minutes over the same topic, that's taken away from what you're actually supposed to be providing for your brothers, which is education. And so I agree to your point. Like we aren't just trying to rush through it. You still have to take care of business. You take care of it like you have to. You have to.
Well, and you still have the discussion portion.
Yeah.
So the lodge gets to discuss whatever is being brought up.
Yep.
So just because it's not motioned and seconded doesn't mean it's going to pass. It just means that that's the motion. You discuss the motion. If it gets shot down, then committee needs to come back next meeting and bring something better.
Yeah. You still take care of business.
You take notes. You take notes from the discussion, and go back to the drawing board, and then come back with the next great idea and see what happens.
Yeah. But you want to be respectful of people's time, and you should have some kind of education, and you don't want to be talking for and I've seen this before where the lodges, and I'm not exaggerating, the lodge was hee-hawing around over business for an hour and a half, and they had a guest speaker sitting there waiting to give his talk, and he had like a 2-hour drive home.
Yeah, I would have walked out.
Yeah. No, that's not respectful to anybody at all.
Yeah. So remember that, Jason. I'm going to be his guest speaker this August, and I cannot wait. And if I screw it up, he may just cancel him off for the rest of the time.
No, I'll make sure to try and recover from the impending disaster.
I like the way you did it, though. You're getting Dennis out of the way, so that you can focus on quality stuff the rest of the year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, if I lower the bar really low, then everybody else is going to be great. I mean,
that was the idea.
He's setting himself up for success. That's exactly what it is.
Now, and to your point, we do have several big business items, and I have instructed the committees that are in charge of those projects that they need to come with a prepared motion, as in this is what we're proposing.
Yeah.
And then briefly the lodge can talk about it, but Dennis has been in meetings that I presided over, and he knows I move from one thing to another. I don't sit there and let things. I try not to let things bloviate and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I mean they were briefed at the last meeting that we are going to get through the meeting as quickly as possible because we're doing things a little bit different for Dennis's presentation, in that we're closing the lodge and then moving to a discussion after the lodge. So if we spend 2 or 3 hours in a meeting, no one want to hang around for the presentation and the discussion afterwards. So yeah, I mean that's exactly what we're going to try and do. So
good.
Jason, can I just say, bloviate correct?
You got a little choppy there, brother.
What was that? You broke up on us.
I was gonna say, I was trying to say that I love that he used the word bloviate correctly in a sentence. Way to go, Jason! Nice job, dude.
There is
I heard it so much. I finally had to find the right word to describe what I was seeing.
Better to bloviate instead of procrastinate. By the way, in the chat,
that's our education portion of the night.
brother Haston in chat says a request for a blessing to live stream just officially sent up the flagpole. Who says he can't work during a podcast? So he's working on setting something up for a forum, most like.
Oh, nice. That is very, very awesome.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's wrap up, man. It's almost 11. And by the time you get talking, they'll be 11:30. So.
Yeah. all of our guests, please go ahead, and then Justin, and then I'll wrap it up.
Yep. Who would like to go first?
They're yielding their time.
You're yielding.
I'll just go ahead and real quick say thank y'all. Thank y'all so much for doing what you do. I really appreciate being able to tune in, to take part. This is absolutely essential, I think, to the continuation of Freemasonry in Texas. Y'all keep doing what you're doing, and we'll keep getting what we're getting.
Appreciate that, man.
Thank you.
Here to serve.
Absolutely.
Jason, what you got? I know you got something.
No, I mean that last thing was that's good. That's good. They end on a high note.
Yeah, you want to end on that one. That's a good one.
What about Oscar or Jeff? Do either one of y'all have something? Going once. Go.
I have a question. What are the dates for Grand Lodge?
It's the third week. It's the third week of December. I mean, of January. Let me pull it up real quick. That's a great question. We should have said something when we were talking about everybody getting their
hotels. Yeah.
The third.
Yeah. So 18th, the 18th. Wait, the 16th, 17th, and 18th.
Yep.
I'll actually be there the 15th, and then we're talking about. We haven't decided fully yet. We haven't committed fully yet. But we're talking about having an end of Grand Lodge dinner on Saturday after installations. We had one this last year on Thursday night, but we both got other prior engagements on Thursday, so we're thinking about doing a Masonic Improvement dinner Saturday after Grand Lodge, and then we can go and have a nice dinner and discussion and celebrate the ending of Grand Lodge, and then going home from there. Yeah. But y'all should let us know what you think about that, and because we've got a little bit of time to sort things out, but we could do it, We don't have to have you there, Jason. No, just kidding.
I'd say last year was a hit. It was a hit.
It was. And that's the thing. I've got so many guys asking me, hey, are we doing it again this year? Are we doing it again this year? So
my only regret,
I almost feel like we have to.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
But my only regret, dinner was awesome.
Yeah.
The surf and turf was awesome.
Yeah. The only thing that I was unhappy about, and we had a great speaker. Our guest speaker was fantastic. But we had John Nagy sitting there, traveling to Texas. Like what? So, I would love to get him sometime to come talk at it, because I have a huge amount of respect for him. But right. it was, and I had.
He was talking about coming back. So if he comes back, then I may just tell him, hey, stick around for Saturday also.
Yeah, that would be. I love that dude. I would love to hear from him. That'd be good. But I had people tell me too, like, I had some Masonic friends that I took, and they, of course, the inner circle and everything, but they're like, that's what I was looking for when I joined Freemasonry. I can't wait till the next one. And I was like, well,
that's exactly what I heard from several people saying, that's the Freemasonry that I joined.
Yeah. So and almost feel obligated.
Airbnbs, and they're wondering, when we're going to have our dinner. And it's, oh my goodness, they're committed.
Yeah.
I'm so excited that they are.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
It means a lot.
So all of you brothers out there listening and in the chat and everything, let us know what you're thinking on that, because I know the Grand Master the elected Grand Master will usually have a dinner afterwards as well. And if you're going to be tied up with that, we get it totally. But for all you guys that are not going to be tied up with that, we may end up for Grand Lodge specifically for our inner circle and friends.
Yeah.
Because we like our friends too. So, not specifically just inner circle, but we may have our brothers from all over Texas and other states as well come in and enjoy the time.
Yeah. So, but to that point, I mean, inner circle is not expensive. So if you wanted someone to come, I made my friends join in the circle before I brought them, because I wanted it to be fair for everybody, right?
Right.
And so
yes,
something we might look at, but it was so awesome. It was so awesome, and I would love to see it again.
Right. Yeah, it was, and well, we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I was fired up for a long time after that. Yeah, I know a lot of brothers were.
I don't know if we took a few pictures. I got to find some pictures, because once they see the venue, they'll just really like it.
I don't know. Given the state of things last year, I'm not sure we took a lot of pictures.
So
well, and also we kind of don't want to ruin it.
Yeah.
Sorry, just out of curiosity, because I wasn't a member of the inner circle last year. Where was the venue?
It was at Diamondbacks.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got you, baby.
And
we had the largest room available there, and we had golly, how many people did we have there?
Bro, I think there was probably like 40 or 50 guys.
Yeah,
it was packed. And the thing is, we had some people that planned on going, and then they looked at the menu for Diamondbacks and they backed out, and they missed out. They missed out.
Right.
You get what you pay for, and you have to invest yourself in Freemasonry and in life. And I don't think anybody left that. All 40, 50, however many they were. I'm sure I counted, but I don't remember. Nobody left without having gained something substantially and being full. Oh, yeah. But gained something substantially from the information there. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
It
was.
And I would like to say, just because I'm local here to Waco, and my company does or has done Christmas parties at Diamondbacks before.
Mm-hmm.
The food is freaking amazing.
Oh, dude, no, you're right. It is. Dude, it is good.
It is great. They have a terrific bar. It's a wonderful atmosphere. Love that place.
Yeah, it's great.
I think you'd have a hard time finding better fine dining in Waco.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
I agree with that.
And and what's crazy is that they actually brought the bar into our room for us. Mm-hmm. We had a Resolution 9 bar, and so they brought a bar in, and we had our own bartender and servers. Of course, they always give you your own servers with the rooms, but we had our own bartender, our own servers. It was a really cool. It was almost like a Christmas party, It was. We really had a good time.
Yep.
So,
man, we got away from the final thoughts, didn't we? We started talking about food.
We did.
I guess we're hungry.
We lost Brother Calgary. I feel bad.
Oh yeah. I don't know that he really had something to say about this, since we're pretty texted on this podcast tonight.
Right. This live was pretty texted. Go ahead, Justin.
Okay. What hasn't been said, but I'll keep it short and sweet. First of all, thank you everyone for coming onto the Zoom. I want to thank all the Inner Circle members, not just in the Zoom, but those that are supporting us in the chat. It means so much to know that Masonic improvement was always about education, but this Inner Circle has become like a community within Masonic improvement, and I love each and every one of you dudes, and I take great pride in knowing that Dennis and I have collected some of the finest Masons in Texas in this community. And so definitely appreciate everything y'all do. I'll post a link to the inner circle in the chat before we wrap up. So much value, and not just from these Zooms. We also have our own private Zooms that don't always get out to everybody, but also everything I post there's an ad-free version for you guys also. Just because you're supporting us, this is my way of putting out content for you that you don't have to worry about dealing with ads or anything. You can share it with whoever you want at that point. You can share it with the brothers. You could live stream it and let them watch it. Don't have to worry about ads and stuff. It's just a little bonus. Plus, you get the dinners and everything that we offer when we do that. Other than that, I'll just reinforce what I said. Like we won a big battle in January, but the war's still going. The war's still going on, and it's you win a battle. It's good. Relax for a day or two. In this case, relax for 9 months or so. But once December, this is kind of what we're gearing everybody up for. Once January starts getting closer, we gotta start putting on our game faces. We gotta start putting the makeup on and getting ready, because the next battle is coming, and it may be bigger, it may not be as big, but we have to understand that we fought for what we believed in January. We fought for the direction of Texas Freemasonry. And now we have to stand by what we fought for, right? And it's easy to get apathetic when times are good. Times are good right now. We have a fantastic Grand Master. We have fantastic Grand Officers, fantastic Secretary, Treasurer. Like, we are truly blessed here in Texas. But that doesn't mean that you can't look out your window and see Mordor, right? You can see the towers there. The darkness is growing. We have to be ready to defend the light when January comes. Thank you all for everything you do. And I'll post that link to the inner circle here while Dennis is talking.
Wow. That's a tough one to follow right there. So when we started this tonight, we started with the idea of what electioneering is and what it's not. And while our Grand Lodge law is somewhat vague on it, we do believe that bringing in ringers to feed a conversation, one-way conversation for others to hear is kind of not in the best of light. So we need to make sure that we're transparent with these things. When we see these things happening, we need to let it be known. If we're not currently active with our MWSAs, we need to get active. You need to get there. You need to show up. You need to be involved and be informed. Because if it hasn't happened yet, it's probably going to happen that you're going to have people show up. And not that people just showing up is a bad thing. The only bad thing is when it really becomes an issue of throwing out personal reasons of running for a particular office, right? If they're coming in to speak, whatever, that's not necessarily a bad thing. They're just providing education. But if they're coming in and controlling the narrative to obviously promote themselves in a marketing scheme, it seems like, then maybe that's not the best use of their time, and we ought to make sure that they're aware of that. We don't approve of that. If we do want to do something like that, maybe we need to do it in a forum situation and do it not just with the MWSAs, but also online, so that us smaller lodges can get that information as well. Because we've got so many areas. Texas is a big state.
Yeah.
And we have so many. It's huge. Yeah, absolutely, Byron. It's huge, and we just can't get to, like I was talking about before, you've got to get the bang for your buck with your mileage, because frankly, it's just so big. It could break anybody, and not just in financially, but in time. I mean, we all work for a living, right?
Yep.
I don't know of many of us that are really independently wealthy, including those that are making themselves available for these positions. I know that they're not, independently wealthy. So, um, there's a time factor, there's a money factor. All of it is relevant.
Absolutely.
So they're not going to get to us little lodges, and we need to make some kind of a way, especially since we have the technology to do it now. We need to make a way to be more transparent with the craft, and that way the craft can make better decisions for the Grand West, because ultimately we're going to make decisions based off the information given. And if all we have is a laundry list of feathers that people have accumulated over the years, what kind of a representation is that of the individual that we're voting for? How do we really, like Brother Byron said, how do we really know what their vision is for Grand Lodge, or what they would like to fix or help with or adjust, tweak, whatever? It doesn't have to be a change. Sometimes we have great things going on. We just need to build on them. So what do you plan on doing to build on what we've got today? And I gotta say, there's I believe in what some of the people in leadership positions are doing, and what some of them are going to do when given the opportunity.
Yeah.
But that's because I know what they are. And we can all get to know on an individual basis. There's nothing wrong with that. But how easy is that going to be with 57,000 members in a state that's as big as 3 of our closest neighboring states?
Yeah.
So, well, New Mexico not counted.
Oscar shared a picture in the chat, by the way, of the dinner last year, set up at the tables.
Do what?
Look in the chat. Oscar shared a picture. You're looking for pictures of the dinner from last year?
Oh, the summit or the dinner?
Dinner in January. I'm sorry, not last year, in January.
Nice. Yeah. So, this is a matter of education. We've always been about education. This isn't for politics. We're trying to educate the craft on what's happening in Texas, because we believe that the better informed you are, the better decisions you can make. And I don't care how you vote. I really don't. That is your personal opinion. That's your decision. And you have to vote your conscience. We all have to vote our conscience. At the end of the day, that's all we can do is do the best we can with the information that we've given. So, brothers, just remember that. It doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what Justin thinks. We're working hard to make sure that we're transparent, because we were in the dark for so long. Now we're in the light. We need to stay in the light. So let's not have made those efforts in vain from last year, because it was hard work. It was hard work getting here. And so let's keep it in the light. And other than that, keep it between the points.
Awesome. Take care, my friends, my brothers.